सर माइक यूज करूँ
We just started. No, no,
recording.
Start करा आप बारह.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much, Vadodara community, for inviting us. Myself, Nirav Shah. I am a community builder in Ahmedabad. Under leadership of Nilesh sir, we are running a community in Ahmedabad and Vadodara. There are many other cities as well where we are running AWS community. So today we are here for AIML, and this event organized by both the group, Vadodara and Ahmedabad, and definitely tomorrow Friendship Day. So we just create this meme for that. So thank you very much, Vadodara user group, for inviting us. So in Vadodara we have meetups, and in Ahmedabad we have a meetups. So usually every second Saturday in Vadodara. Okay. Every Saturday we have second Saturday we have some meetups in Vadodara. You can go to meetup and just find out AWS meetup Vadodara. You will have that page. Same way we have Ahmedabad Amazon AWS Cloud meetup page. So you can just go there and check out the happening, what's going on, when the meetup is. All the details are over on that page, meetup page. So this is the highlights of Vadodara meetup that we held during past couple of months. We have Ahmedabad meetups. Recently we done Container Day, like same way that we are here for AIML Day. And this all our community members are there. Okay, so today we are here for definitely talking about AI/ML a lot, because nowadays everywhere AI/ML, AI/ML. You open any page or anything, you definitely have AI/ML there, right? So and definitely couple of myths like, okay, AIML is going to replace programmer. Is AIML is going to replace content writer? Because how many are using ChatGPT? Everyone. See, so that's the power of AIML, right? So AI will replace the programmer. How many of you believe like a programmer are going to replace by AIML? That's good. Content writer. Yeah, you all are posting from ChatGPT on your LinkedIn, right? Okay, so if you think about AI and ML, it's a kind of AI enables some sort of human mimic in machine, and machine learning support AI through data, right? So you must have to learn the combination of both. Definitely, we have a lot of expert here. They are going to explain you more in detail. ChatGPT is not new one. You have a lot of tools by different companies, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI. Lot of tools are available there. Not only ChatGPT, and it's not a new technology. If you observe, ChatGPT, like during the past 1 year, we started using ChatGPT, right? So ChatGPT definitely took longer to build its journey, but after that, back to back, like Google Bard is coming, then again lot of other tools are coming, right? So they are definitely using AI/ML a lot since long, but now they introduce publicly, so we all get benefited of that. Okay, so as I ask you a question, Definitely few people raise a hand when I ask, is AI/ML replace the programmer? Is AI/ML replace the content writer? So technical evolution never, most of the time it never uh, take anyone job actually, right? So previously we have when there are a lot of marketing people on the way and TV came like 90/20, right? And then advertising came to the TV. So people like thought process was there. Okay, is commercials are in TV nowadays, right? So, but still, marketing people still have a job. They doesn't lose it. Same way when tractor introduced, people were thinking like what farming people do because they used to do everything by their own, right? But you can see tractor is tractor. Farmers are already there. Same way when computer invented, it's used for calculation purpose, right? So many people thought like what accountant people do, right? So answer is no. AI is will not replace you, but the person who is not using AI, definitely that person replaced by someone, right? So you must have to learn. So make sure uh, you sit well, attend each and every lecture today. It's definitely it's a journey. It's not easy to learn anything in a single day, right? But it's important to gain whatever you gain from today's lecture because we have a lot of lectures from various part of country, right? And expert from agencies like AWS. This is just a snapshot. This is a picture I took from 2 days back. Uh, it's from my daughter's book shelf, right? So she is in third standard. She is 8 years old, and this is her book. So you can imagine how AI/ML is going to impact our life. Then only this kind of course now started introduced. Okay, that's it from my side. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening me.
Thank you, Mr. Nirosha. Okay, so it's time for a keynote. And we have Mr. Vivek Raja, who is the Vice President of Product at Nexten. He is the youngest AWS machine learning guru and the lead organizer and founder of AWS Good Madurai. Yes, come all the way from Madurai to deliver the keynote here, and we truly appreciate his his contributions in the community. Time for
Hold it.
Oh, hold it.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Good morning. Good morning. Even more, good morning. Good morning. Hi. Okay. So, slides please. Okay, great. So, I welcome you all to AWS Community Day, AI/ML Edition, Vadodara 2023. So, I'm very excited for delivering today's keynote, and I'm pretty sure you're all excited for the upcoming talks which are coming up. So my keynote is going to be on how you can accelerate your innovation with AWS machine learning. So my only purpose of today's keynote is to set a foundation for all other upcoming talks for today's conference. So I'm going to touch base on what are the latest upcomings, what is happening in machine learning and AWS and artificial intelligence grounds, and how you can actually leverage for your daily as well as for career as well as for your business purposes. So that's a whole agenda for keynote for today. So a little about myself. I think they had a good intro about me, so I'll probably skip it. So one thing is about which I strongly believe is adapt and evolve. So thanks Nirav actually to point out about the evolution part. So when tractor came, did it replace farmers? So actually I had a point in my talking note that I'll talk about the accounting people and computer, because that is what I have seen, I have heard from my dad. So did computers really replace accounting people? No. So that really helped them to enhance their productivity. So every single technology that you see here, whether it's from IT background or from science or any or geo anywhere else, it's all about how you adapt the technology and evolve along with it so that you can use those benefits for your productivity and enhancing your day-to-day life. So that's the whole purpose of having a technology. And with technology comes your innovation. So what is a big buzz talk of nowadays? Is generative AI, right? So anyone in the crowd, like, can you give me a very quick answer about what do you think about what is generative AI, what it does? We have been used to having work with chat GPTs and everything, right? So anyone, what do you feel that what is a generative AI? Perfect, yep. I think that sums it all. Generative AI is that it's able to generate content. Not the content can be your text, can be your image, audio, video, whatsoever. So how does it actually revolutioning all or every domain? So few is that we already know that it helps very well in content writing, marketing. But what about others? In any other domain that you can think of? I think today's talk is where we're going to see how it's going to help in other domains as well. So let's keep that answer for later. So this is a very typical bookish definition that comes from your AWS press release or whatsoever. So we can say that generative AI is a type of machine learning. Still we can say that it's a subset or part of it, and it uses large language models to generate something. Okay, that's a very typical definition that you can go around. But we will try to explore and understand what these definition and each and everything word means here. So we have highlighted a couple of words that what is a large language model. There is also a highlighted about foundation models. So we are going to see what is large language models, what is foundation models, blah blah blah, and in today's talk. So machine learning. Your machine learning is where you have data and you process it and you get some output. So the output can be forecast, or the output can be prediction, it can be classification, and so on. So pretty straightforward. You have some inputs and you get some outputs out of that. So you churn the data, you understand the data, and you get some insights out of the data. That's a typical way how you do a machine learning. Now, what is deep learning? How the deep learning works? So you have very complex inputs. Those complex inputs can be your images, it can be your audio, video, text, and everything. And from those complex inputs, you try to analyze or get some insights out of it. So it can be like you give an image, or you give an image and you try to point out people over here. So how many of you have done this very basic project that you classify between dogs and cats? Everyone here, right? Or they would have given a try. Perfect. So that's where you have your images and you try to identify something out of that with your images or whatsoever. So you have your complex inputs, but your insights out of that is quite simple. So that's deep learning. But now just think about it. What would be the inputs and what would be the outputs for a generative AI? Any guess? Yeah, it will be a complex input, but you are giving very complex inputs such as video, text, audio, everything. What are the outputs of that? It's still complex because you try to generate a new content out of it. You generate new text, you generate new audio, you generate new video. You try to do a lot of stuff new along with it. So if you ask me, this is a very overview, a black box model of how you give an input, your complex inputs, churns out your complex results out of that. So now we have heard about that any machine learning. So a machine learning or any other models, it works. For example, we all know that we have a model for classifying between dogs and cats. Suddenly we try to introduce a horse there. Would it classify that as a horse unless we give them a data that we have horse data? Will it do it? No. So very similarly, in any machine learning or any subset of machine learning, you have to provide your model or your workflow that okay, there are some very specific things which I want to do, and you have to learn according to it. So that's called fine tuning. So that fine tuning helps you to customize for your business use cases or for your college projects as well. So what do you need for it so that it accurately now let's assume that let's leave its machine learning generative AI or anything. We try to give a horse data to your machine learning model and it tries to learn horse. So which means it can now cater to your specific use case, which is like classifying horse or not. And what about the data need when it comes to generative AI? So machine learning, you need to provide chunks and chunks of classes. Like for example, if it's a 2 class, you need to at least provide some samples of it. Deep learning and machine learning, or else your model accuracy will be very low. But your generative AI is already very capable of consuming this input complex so that you don't really need to give them a huge corpus of new data. You can just give them a little new data for your customization and it can very well learn from it. So we'll see how it all does it as well. So now it comes to, now we understood that what is generative AI. Now we also know very well the basic difference between machine learning, deep learning, generative AI and everything. So what does AWS offers to us? So primarily 3 things which comes up. We'll also talk about what are new stuff that is coming around, but primarily 3 things. One is Amazon Bedrock. So how many of you heard about this service, Amazon Bedrock? 1, 2, 3, yep. And I'm pretty sure that at the end of today, when you walk out of this hall, everyone here would have known what is generative AI and Amazon Bedrock, that I'm pretty sure. Not just from me, you will hear it from a lot of folks that is coming along as well. So it has Amazon Bedrock and we have something called Amazon EC2 Trainium and Inferentia for your training and inference purposes. And also it has something called Code Whisperer. Any idea what is Code Whisperer? Your automated? Code generation. Anyone else? Yes. Competitor to Copilot. Yep. And we also have a very exclusive talk on Code Whisperer today. And you are going to see a demo on how it can generate code for you. So stay tuned as well. So we'll just touch base on what all these services do and how AWS is innovating on these aspects. Okay. So and how you can actually leverage these services to make your generative AI use cases. So I would point out. So you have most of the folks. How many of you are from college here? Okay, I can assume that it's a 80-85% of the crowd. Okay. Now, do you think that will it be easy for you to generate a complete generative AI use case for you? It's not about generating the content from ChatGPT. Let's assume that you're going to build a complete use case based on generative AI. Do you think it will be easy to do or not? Answer, like if you wanted, or are you planning to do any generative AI use case in future? Yes. So what I would say that, what if I say that you can actually create a generative AI use case in AWS with just a couple of clicks? Do you believe that is possible? Actually it is. So we'll see that. We're not going to see the demos, but we'll see what all features that it has to offer. So that's why we have Amazon Bedrock. So Bedrock has a lot of foundation models. You can take it, like for example, ChatGPT runs, what is the underlying model for ChatGPT? Yeah, GPT 3.5, GPT 4. So for example, how many of you have used Midjourney here? Or how many of you use Stable Diffusion here to generate new audio video? Wow, nice. So Stable Diffusion is one model. So they have a lot of models for you to go and experiment it. So the typical way is that you go to the company, you download their package, you install it, you run it. But rather, if you have Amazon Bedrock, they have every single foundation model at your disposal for immediately picking it up and deploying it for your use case. So what you do is you try to accelerate your complete development. You choose what is your foundation model and then you customize it with your own data for your use case and you deploy it. That's a simple 4 steps that you do. And next comes your EC2 instances that supports your generative AI. So you know that generative AI models are very complex, very big. You might have heard that it is trained on billions of parameters. Now that you definitely know that it won't be able to train in your local systems, correct? We won't be able to do that. And will we be able to do that in cloud with normal instances? That's doubt. That's very doubtful because you have to spend a lot of cost. So that's why AWS have pitched in and given you some exclusive EC2 instances that could cater to your training and in inference of your generative AI models. And that helps in 50% of your cost savings, and it gives you 800 gigabits per second of networking and so on. So those are all the benefits that the AWS has to offer for you to help you to kickstart with generative AI. And the third one is your very favorite, our very favorite tool, which is a Code Whisperer. So now comes the question. I'm again asking you the same question which Nirav asked you. So we are all programmers here, right? Everyone codes. Okay, what's the primary language that you code in? Python. Okay, let's say that actually I would say that Amazon Code Whisperer supports Python. It can generate Python code. Do you think it will replace all Python programmers here? No. Yes, it won't replace. So what it actually does, it does generate your code for you. It generates it. It also examines whether it has your security flaws in your code as well. What it does. So I'm a developer and I want to, let's assume that I'm going to download a file from S3 bucket. So what I do, I go to Stack Overflow. I don't know the exact code what to write. Go to Stack Overflow, Google, type, I want to download, print the contents of an S3 bucket. Your Stack Overflow page opens, you copy paste the code, it runs. Now what I say that instead of all these tasks that you do, you just type that, you write a comment that I need to write the print the content of S3 bucket, and it immediately generates the code for you there, and you have to do nothing, and you can just concentrate on the better use case that you want to do, which is like probably processing that data, whatever you can do that. So to help you to automate those mundane tasks where that all your copy paste, read files or whatever, so that helps you to do it. It makes you a better programmer so that you can concentrate on writing better code rather than working on some existing code that is already there. So it helps you to go 57% faster in completion of a code, so it helps the developer productivity to another level. And then, yeah, what are the use cases that we already know? We know that it helps in content generation. What else? Any other stuff other than content generation, text generation, image and videos? Yep. Other than that? Yes. We'll see just few of the use cases, but it's unlimited. You can integrate with your chatbot. So let's assume that you are asking some questions to your chatbot and it wants to answer intelligently, like based on your data sources that you have. Instead of your predefined responses, your generative AI can understand the text and give you the right context of it. So since I'm just giving you a hack for your college students. So for example, if you have a huge transcript or your text and you want to complete your assignment of your MCQs, just put it on and it will summarize and it will be able to answer your question and answers. But please don't do it, please do learn. Yeah, all those text generation, summarization, it's all possible because it's able to understand what is being written rather than just the words and semantics. So this is the exact moment that we have come across. So this generative AI has captured our imagination. Now that we are able to write content, we know that ChatGPT or any other text generation is able to write content for us. We can now jump onto the creativity part, what we can do next with it, or how you can improve your business, or what can I do next. So those are all the questions that comes into your mind when you actually solve the existing problems. So we are at the same level and the same stage. That's what Swami he's a VP of product of databases and AWS machine learning has actually pulled up off. And yeah, now that we know that what is generative AI, what is machine learning, we know that how generative AI is actually helping you out and everything. But there are a lot of new updates that came around just recently, just last week. So I wanted to focus my keynote on these updates so that you know what's happening around in AWS as well as in other places of the world, that how you could actually leverage Gen AI. The first update is that you have got a lot of new models. So go and try it out. You can go and explore what it has. It has models from AI21 Labs, Cohere, and so and so. And something called agents. So I told you the first question which I actually asked you. So foundation models can help you to generate content, analyze videos and audios. But will that be able to solve your use case? I asked the first question before starting the keynote. And I told that with AWS that is possible. Yes, now it is possible with something called agents. So foundation models can help you to create content or analyze the content, but help you to complete the whole use case. Let's take a simple example, okay? Before going, you know that if you wanted to actually execute or leverage a foundation model, you have to write the programming to get the results, populate it in some chatbot or pass it somewhere. But all these can be automated using our agents. Let's take a simple use case. Let's assume you're going to a website and you're typing that I bought a sneaker which is of white color, but I feel that this color is not suitable. I want to exchange it to a different shoe. Okay. If this is a actual customer support person sitting behind the chatbot, then he would go and check whether they cover under the warranty policies or refund policies and replace policies. He will then say whether it's possible or not, and he will talk about what is a concession or detection that will go around, right? But now your chat GPT will be able to read all your customer or your company's data and understand your policies and everything, and it will be able to reply to the user within seconds. So the elimination of those mundane tasks about going and reading about the policies is actually cut down into very much. So that's where the agent come across. So it defines and that, okay, if I get a request, I need to go and read these data and understand it and reply to the customer as soon as possible. These are all possible with your agents here. And now your vector engine support is for Amazon Open Search Serverless, which means your product recommendations to all your search is enhanced to another level. And this is my best, and this I would say this is one of my favorite announcement. How many of you here have worked with dashboards, like creating dashboards from the data? Lot of people. So which means let's assume you have a CSV file, you need to give it beautifully in terms of a report or a graph. You know that is a little bit of work that goes, right? You need to go and select of columns, you need to pre-process the data, do a lot of stuff. Now let's imagine if you give an input that, okay, now generate me a comparison between Q3 and Q4 financial reports of 2022 to 2023 financial year, and boom, it gives you a report. That's what generative AI will do it for QuickSight. So QuickSight is for your business intelligence portal. It can generate your business reports and dashboard, and you can just send your natural commands like generate me a report or generate me a bar graph. It will do it for you. You wouldn't have to do anything or connect the sources. It itself will do that. That's an amazing release from Amazon. And from HealthScribe is that where you convert your clinical records from your text, from your voice to text. Now it has generative AI, which means it can generate you very good text from it. And yeah, and AWS have introduced new instances for this, which is like your P5 instances, which is very powerful, and it can reduce your training time up to 40%. So compared to your P4 instances. Now comes a very big question, so which you have been waiting for, that okay, you have told me a lot about AWS generative AI. Where should I get started? How should I learn? Or where should I get learn? So today is a place where you learn about all these stuff, and also when you're free, do check it out, this QR, where it leads to all those courses, which some are free, some are low cost, where you can go and learn about your generative AI stuff as well. So probably give a second for you to scan it as well. Then let's quickly wrap it up. So AI, AWS also helps you, if you're a business, it helps you to create your generative AI use cases with this innovation center. And also, let's assume who are all here does not have a machine learning knowledge, or I'm very new to machine learning. I'm just starting with machine learning. I'm trying to learn. Okay, we have a lot of folks here. Or imagine you're a business executive who are from sales or marketing background, and you still wanted to add intelligence to your application. You can use something called AI services, where it is already pre-trained and will help you to record. It will help you to add intelligence to your application, such as for image and video, you can use recognition. You can use comprehend for your NLPs and everything. So these are AI services that you can use. And also we have something called, if you are a programmer, like you are a data scientist, you are an ML engineer, for you to go and get started with, like you go and build the model, you go and do stuff, that's where you have to head to Amazon SageMaker. For all your infrastructure is managed beneath it, and you can just work on your bringing your model, developing it, and pushing it to production. So if you are a person who has no programming experience, they have SageMaker Canvas, where you have to do no code and you can do machine learning. And if you are a data scientist, You have Studio, which means you have a little bit of experience, but you wanted to use UI, you can still use it. Or if you're a core programmer like me, you can, as an ML engineer who wants to do ML ops and everything, it also has every single notebooks and everything for you to get started. So few of the services, I guess you will be able to learn about SageMaker Data Wrangler today. So I'll just skip it across for now. And DeepRaiser, how many of you here heard about DeepRaiser? Nice. So I guess DeepRaiser are a 1/18th of a car which can actually autonomously run through a track with machine learning. Like let's imagine your self-driving car running right in front of you. That's DeepRaiser. And I'm very happy that Nilesh have put an effort from Ahmedabad user group and all. They actually hosted a DeepRaiser league. How many of you were part of that league? If you were, awesome, great. So DeepRaisers were actually, I think the video should play. Is it possible to click it? This video, is it possible to play? Yep. This is how we are, this is the video from this one. So this is your DeepRaiser car. Yeah. So your DeepRaiser, your autonomous car actually runs through the track here, and with just machine learning, you don't have to really code or anything. It does it by itself. So people in this league, what they do is they race against each other to see who comes first, and also they race within the same track as well. So that's an amazing. Do try it out, and if you're interested, we'll keep on hosting new DeepRaiser events. So with that, what I would say is, now that you know what is happening in AWS in terms of machine learning, generative AI and everything, now it's time for you to go back to your applications, retransform it, reimagine and rewrite it for better use cases and enhance the productivity of that. So with that, I'll conclude my keynote. And if you want to connect with me, do scan here as well. And I'm very, very happy as well as grateful for Nilesh sir to host me here as a keynote speaker and all my mentors who have been part of my AWS journey. So thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of the session, and kudos to all organizers as well as volunteers. Thank you.
If there are any questions, Vivek is here, like can ask now or maybe like later on.
I have a demo.
Be around for networking.
Yes.
It is there already uploaded on the.
Yes, I'll drop around, so probably I'll give time for the next speakers to come around. So I'll be off the stage. Just connect with me, whatever, or if you want ping me in social media, please do it. I'll be happy to help you out. Thanks everyone, and see you and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
So like at the end of each session, we have feedback available, so you can scan the QR code and leave the feedback. That's one thing. Apart from that, all people are getting this candidate. Okay, so we are going ahead with a new initiative.
Hi, Neeraj.
So this is
Nice to meet you again.
We are working towards.
When you go to Thank you.
Thanks very much. Good morning, everyone. Kenjo. So first of all, thanks very much on Saturday morning.
gearing up for the whole day AIML discussions topics. So I'm Ashish Patel. I'm a solution architect working at AWS India since last 4 years. Been in this industry for more than 23 years, and I will take you through some of the how do you get started on AWS with AIML services. Before I start, I would like to ask how many of you are already using AWS? Wow, amazing. How many of you have already spin up one notebook? Or how many of you don't know what is notebook? And that's fine. I mean, that is expected. Okay, so that's again amazing. Like you already know what is Jupyter Notebook. How many of you have already used any of the AWS services for AIML? Even just spinning up for experimentation. Okay. Now, rest of this session is focused on rest of the one also and the one who have raised their hands. How do you expedite your journey of AIML on AWS, as well as those who haven't yet started their journey on AWS, how can they start it very quickly? And first, we will see why. If you see some of the statistics, right, the research adoption of AIML papers, and if you see the 2021 from the 2007 to 2021, then if you see for any product, right, the next adoption is a developer adoption, the GitHub star for the stable diffusion. So similar talk I gave last year, 90% of the audience did not know what is stable diffusion. Today, how many of you know stable diffusion? Right, at least some of you know already, because thanks to the generative AI and why that number of stars are growing so fast. The third one is the consumer adoption. Even if the research, so we have thousands of papers, nothing materialized at the consumer level, what you use in your day-to-day life, right? And this is where the ChatGPT has, thankfully, has democratized the knowledge of AIML, and maybe one of the reasons you are sitting over here. Let's see how many of you know what are the challenges in AIML for adoption in the industry. Check the first one. That is for you. Any industry, any kind of the area you ask, we are lacking skills. Why these two slides? Some of the messages already been given in the earlier talk by Nirav and Vivek. Why you are here is wanted to make sure without any distractions, please focus on highly curated sessions thanks to the Vadodara community and the Ahmedabad community, special sessions for you. And this is the reason. Nirav rightfully taught, the third grade student is already learning, right? And so we already know where is the competition. Let's see some of, we know like AIML is new. My father was asking, what is this ChatGPT, right? And before he even born, there was a machine learning, right? Today, we have reached to a point where we are able to use it on our day-to-day life, thankfully to the compute power and the kind of the data we are generating, even from your fingertips. Let's see. So I won't be able to do justice to give you complete AIML within, let's say, 30 minutes, right? So I will try to do my best to give you some information to the ones who doesn't have any knowledge and to the ones who have some knowledge to accelerate their journey for AIML. Let's say the 10,000 feet. So you will see some kind of repetitive knowledge. This thing you have already seen in the last couple of sessions. It's very important we understand the difference between what is AI, what is machine learning, what is deep learning, and now what is generative AI. Tomorrow it could be third, fourth things in the next 10 years. The industry or the area is progressing stupendously fast, that even the highly knowledgeable people are also not able to keep up with it. What stays constant across this, the basic foundational knowledge, and this is where I will little bit focus on that, and then we'll move to the AI/ML services. So I hope you already know what is the basics of AI/ML, and wanted to give you where AWS is actually helping you. If you see, this is we call as an AI/ML stack. AWS has the highest number of services in the breadth space of AI/ML and as well as on the depth area of the AI/ML. Mr. Vivek has already mentioned about the foundation models, the generative AI. If you see the kind of number of models which you will be able to play with, AWS would be having the highest number in terms of the breadth and as well as on the depth side of it. If they are open source, obviously, if they are proprietary, we can't use it. Now, if you see the start with an AI services on top of, so there are some of the core AI services. As you can see, text, speech, and vision. This AI services base line for the top of the AI services, which are specialized AI services, which some of these are having industrial usage, as well as some of them you can use in your day-to-day life, like Code Whisperer. And then we now have a generative AI services as well, Amazon Bedrock and the Titan models, similar to that of other generative AI models. If you go to the bottom, this is where you require a little bit more control over what you are already using it. Let's say, for example, if you are using some ready-made service of automatic recognizing speech, but now let's say, for example, if you are not able to recognize, let's say, Gujarati, then the model has to be trained with more data on that particular use case, and this is where you need more control, and where the middle layer, which is the Amazon SageMaker, and that's the main service where we will be also focusing more on the rest of the slides. The last layer is for the data scientists and those who require even more control over how those models are being built. Imagine where you want to have the models which has to be trained repetitively on a highly competitive environment, I mean say like economically as well as on the time scale, and you would like to use maybe let's say a customized hardware as well, right? So this is where the last layer comes into the picture, where also you will get the breadth and the depth of the services. Let's say, for example, when you are using current hot topic is generative AI, you will create a model, let's say, then you will train it. Now when you are going to deploy it is where the highest amount of resources would be required. How many of you know like the GPU shortages in the last couple of years, right? The chip shortages, right? That's the cost has humongously gone up. In Amazon Web Services, we have invested in the our own chipsets. Why? Because we can give the customer at the cheapest cost and as well as with the higher performance. So as Mr. Vivek has mentioned, some of the Trainium services and also the FPGAs and many more are coming as well in the near future. Let's see a little bit down the layer where at least you should know what are the types of machine learning. This is at the very fundamental level. Supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Supervised learning is where you will have the data which you can label it. Unsupervised learning is where you can't label it because there is no label. It's like a cluster. I have like my clickstream data, right? I can't label them. And the third one is the reinforcement learning. If you see the deep tracer, right, that's using a reinforcement learning, because you can't use even the label data, or you can't use this set of data. So it actually works in the feedback loop on the reward mechanism. The model trains on its own. What are the key stages of machine learning? Let's say tomorrow, if you are going to even use the AI services, you should know what runs underneath, right? Or how those models are being built. In a very basic knowledge level, you can imagine you'll have to train the models. You'll have to have the validating those models. So that means the same data you'll have to keep it aside, so that you can verify what is an accuracy of that model. And then after that, you have to deploy those models for your regular usage. Let's say, for example, if you imagine, if you are going from your home to your college or your office, let's say you are in a new city, and there are, let's say, 10 different ways in which you can reach. On the first day, you will be very conscious how do you reach. Second day, third day, when using Google Maps, you will be understanding which roads are there, which is having a higher traffic. This is with the visual data. Your actual model, which is over here, is being trained. Once after, let's say, 1 month of use, today also you might experience while you are driving, right? Even if there is a phone calls on your Bluetooth which is going on, or maybe you are driving and there is a songs which are being played, you will be able to take the right path, right or wrong, because the model is already being trained. And this is how in the machine learning or in the actual way is also being designed such that. So tomorrow, what do you require? The more the data, more cleaner the data, more quality of the data you have, the better models you will be able to create. And this is where the crux of the whole machine learning or an AI, which you need to understand. Now let's see how we are able to help you with AWS services. This is just a snapshot of various kind of roles getting in which stages of the machine learning. Business requirements with the business analyst, data preparation, feature engineering, data engineers, model development, data scientists, and the model deployment with the ML engineers. Again, these are like a generic terms. Don't get too much attached to that. The designation varies. However, what I wanted to give you over here is how the machine learning is able to create a business value from the whole value chain. First, start with something you don't have any knowledge of machine learning, or you are not going to even have any opportunity to touch the notebooks. So this is the role of business analyst. As Mr. Vivek has already mentioned in the last talk, the service is Canvas. The SageMaker Canvas doesn't require any knowledge. You can just log it there. There are predefined industry-specific use cases are mentioned. Some data is available for playing around. You can experiment with forecasting, with visualization, text, speech. You name it, and it is available already there. You can drag and drop. You can train your new models. You can import your new data, and you are ready to go. Now let's say what's next. What you are waiting for, right? Those who doesn't have any knowledge, and also specifically the students who doesn't have even the pocket money left. This is where the next service, which is SageMaker Studio Lab. You do not require an AWS account. In fact, you can right away apply for the access. Once the access is started, you can straight away go and play around. And I would highly recommend one thing. If you are going to take out of this particular session, this is the one. Go and play around if you have not yet already started your journey in AI. You are going to get 4 hours of CPU and 4 hours of GPU. 8 hours of CPU and 4 hours of GPU in 24 hours of period of time, completely free of cost. and that's more than enough in learning and experimenting with AI/ML. Next one is with the, let's say you already understand now, right? And now you would like to go a little bit deeper, but still you're not comfortable with complete AI/ML life cycle, preparing huge data, or maybe how those models are being inferenced and whatnot. Then the Jumpstart is your next step. Jumpstart will be able to give you ready-made models with which you can also tune. One click and the complete Jupyter notebook is available. A lot of instructions are already there, as you may be knowing already, those who know Jupyter notebooks. So this is the next step. After you know little bit about machine learning, you have a problem to solve and you are looking for something little bit automated, then completely DIY. The main service, which is the SageMaker Studio, entire life cycle from building, training, tuning, deploying and monitoring. And these are like, though I mentioned as separate, it's actually single one. When you are creating any applications, how many of you use Uber? I mean, most of you, right? What, you know, like what runs beneath? They run this complete steps up and running as you use those services. It's not like something, there's a production manufacturing goes, model will be built, there will be 3-4 months of time, and then only you are going to have an inference. No. I mean, in some of the scenarios maybe, but in most of the scenarios where you need to have a real-time inferences and you need a new data to retrain your models, right? This is where some of the advanced level of knowledge would be required. Or even, let's say, one, for example, if you want to train a very simple model, but that model is not available. You have your own data sets, which is already, or maybe you don't know even what's the quality of data you want to train, or you want to check how this particular data is created, right? So this is where the Amazon SageMaker Studio service comes into the picture. Let us see, I mean, each of the stages which I mentioned, right? Like preparing your data, just a mention of some of the services which are helpful in this preparation of data. We have a very specific session by Chetan for the data wrangler. Do attend that. That's the biggest problem. So in the machine learning, 70% of your time or the efforts are in data. If you are feeding garbage, you are going to get garbage. It's like that. And this is where the data wrangler session would be very important. Next one is building the machine learning models. There also you have a lot of helps in terms of SageMaker services, like lot many built-in models. You can deploy your custom models. Many of the orchestration is built in within the SageMaker Studio. So and then obviously training the models and then deploying those models. After deployment, you need to also make sure like you are monitoring them. It's like a normal application, right? What do you do? Right, after deploying, you also monitor, right? So it's also, the models also goes to the similar DevOps life cycle. Security, we call it internally to Amazon as Job Zero. That means we first think about the security features and then develop the services. And as you can see, like from a data protection to the authentication authorization to the how your models being influenced. In particularly today, if you see, like if you are using ChatGPT, there are cases where if you are putting your data, you are agreeing to that data would be used by OpenAI. But let's say, for example, that's fine for me maybe, okay, but let's say for enterprises or those who doesn't want to reveal their data, because their data is their the biggest asset, and there the data protection or the data life cycle, how we are securing the data end to end is becoming very important. And this is not to overwhelm you, just to tell you that Amazon SageMaker Studio is the service end to end, whatever you require from building, training, tuning, deploying and monitoring the SageMaker, the machine learning models on the SageMaker Studio. With this, I will play a small demo because you must see how the SageMaker Studio looks like. Can you have a demo, please? So if you see, this is how you start your SageMaker Studio. This is the home page. The first comes is the data, and if you see under the data, you have I think it's can you go back? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So this is the jump start. This is what I spoke about, and if you see, there are ready-made models, built-in models are already available. And why it is called jump start? You use single click and you are able to play immediately. Then you have a data which starts with the data wrangler. It has a complete life cycle of cleansing the data, playing around with your data, identifying the what are the impurities. You want to have, add the missing data, whatever want to have with the data. Then you have a feature store. Feature store is also very important while you are deciding which data is very important out of the complete data set which you have got. This is the cluster or the EMR cluster you can manage from within the SageMaker Studio. And then AutoML. AutoML is like you don't know what model will work for your data, right? So AutoML will automatically identify the best algorithm and it will rank based on the accuracy, like which model you should be able to use for that given data. Then the experiments, so like when you are iterating through multiple rounds of data, so you clean the data, check the accuracy, you again get more data, missing data, right? The whole life cycle is being tracked under the experiments. And then the notebook jobs. So these are the notebook jobs you can schedule. Let's say, for example, if you are inferencing some batch jobs, right? So you can schedule at a later point of time. That particular facility is also available within the SageMaker Studio. This is the pipeline of workflow. With the Python SDK, you can manage the complete workflow, pipeline workflow. As you can see, you are able to manage it through a single console. And now let's come to the models. So let's say the model is now ready. From that, the model registry is where you, with the model data, metadata, you are storing your, it's like similar to your code repository, right? I mean, it's more of a tuned repository like Elastic Container Registry if you are aware, right? Similar to that. You can share the models, you can inference, there's an inference compiler, and then an edge packager with the Neo services. So let's say, for example, if you are deploying to a device and SageMaker Neo has a capability to tune the model for that particular device. Then the projects. So projects actually keeps track of each and every stage as we speak, like from building, training, tuning, deploying and monitoring. All the stages of projects you can track, including the endpoints of your model inferences. Then the inference recommender. So this inference recommender, let's say for example, if you have created a service, now you don't know what is the compute capacity I require or what do I require to make it available to my users, right? So it will recommend based on the data it gathers from the model. And this is the endpoint. So this is the endpoint, means this is maybe the API your application going to call, and then the model is going to be returning. You are going to give the input and the model is going to the output. And the last one is the fleets and devices. So let's say you can deploy to the cameras, you can deploy to the robots, and you can manage them as a single fleet of devices from the SageMaker Studio. And then you might ask like where is the notebook, right? So if you see in the top file, you can click on new, and that's where the notebook is. And when you creating a notebook, as those who may have already done that in past, they already know you can create the image, you can create the kernel, Python, Coda, whatever you want, inference type, which instance type you want to use it, and that's it. You can get go and start it. Can you go to the next step? And as you can see, the SageMaker Studio is able to give you complete one suite package for your machine learning journey on AWS. And that's it. Thank you very much. I'm here all day. Love to connect with you and see what kind of challenges you are facing while you're working with some of the AWS services, or even if you have not yet started. Happy to help. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Please wait for a moment. I would request Mr.